With just minutes to go, it looked like the Stags had managed to secure a point. But then, the beautiful game's ugly sister said, "Hiya!" The league leaders' late goal saw Mansfield Town condemned to a third successive 1-0 defeat. In isolation, it was unlucky. But when you look back and do a bit of a deeper dive, you'll notice a little sequence starting to appear. And sequences, especially ones which involve losing, aren't what we want at this stage of the campaign. Tonight we'll reflect on that and delve a little bit deeper and answer your questions, comments, opinions and much, much more in the live feed. Come and have your say on your team. Are Mansfield Town now in poor form? Can they find their goal-scoring boots again? Let's discuss it all, shall we? Hello, good evening and welcome to the Mansfield Matters Podcast. It's the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday night. Alongside me, I've assembled a crack team of investigators as we do a deep dive or deep delve or whatever you want to say into why Mansfield Town can't seem to find the net and can't seem to win a game of football. All of that to come over the next 90 minutes here on the Mansfield Matters Podcast. Let's say hello and good evening to my fellow detectives. First and foremost, it's PC Felton.
Good evening.
Then we've got Detective Sergeant Clive Parkin.
Evening all.
And we've got on special secondment to the Mansfield Matters Police Unit. I've been watching Line of Duty on box sets, haven't I? Of course I have. It's D.I. Fathead.
Evening, Craig.
Nice to have you with us, Craig, of course, who is Gateford Stag, a.k.a. Fathead, a.k.a. the reigning champion of the Mansfield Matters Podcast Predictions League. More on that later on. He's playing the role of Alan Wilson tonight. And as always, you guys at home watching the live feed can play a vital role of having your say and posing your questions, comments, opinions, thoughts, and all things Mansfield Town in the comments. Right, let's start with 24 hours ago, Clive. It would have been nice and chilly away at Wycombe. What was the feeling like before kickoff in comparison to what it was like heading back to the car after the game?
Not as different as you might imagine. I don't think any of us felt we were going to run away with anything at Wycombe. The team's got the wind in its sails. Wycombe, I'm talking about. I mean, they got 9 successive wins in all competitions before the game. There's no reason to suggest that they would collapse in the face of Mansfield Town Football Club. And we know Mansfield Town Football Club has a habit of shooting itself in the foot occasionally. They didn't need to last night. I think they did everything to get a point. They didn't deserve any more than a point. They didn't deserve to lose the point in the way that it happened. But that's football. Coming away, obviously we're disappointed, but we didn't as a club, as a team, we played as well as we might have done given the selections available to the manager. And I think you've just got to say that sometimes when the luck's with you, it stays with you. And I think Wycombe had it.
Sometimes in football, you do want to play a blame game. Last night, you could arguably say that it was a little bit of luck, a little bit of misfortune. But Cam, you disagreed in the group chat, didn't you? You weren't happy at full time. Are you all right now, babes?
Yeah, I've had time to vent through other means, speak to other people about it, get the outside opinion of not Mansfield fans, which was interesting to hear. That it was frustrating, but it's the third time it's happened this season. That's not a fluke. Yes, it's a fluke that it's gone in, but it's the third time this season it's happened, shall we say. And yeah, you can't say it's a fluke after 3 times.
Yeah,
very.
Fluke.
Well, you can, but also it's 4 because we lost 1-0 to Stevenage as well, which we'll come on to.
I think Cam's talking about the 2 goals, similar goals across the keeper at Lincoln.
Yeah, I think so. FYI, Cam, I think you're coming through your normal microphone and not your actual microphone. You sound very roomy. Doesn't matter though, because we can still hear you. Craig, what do you make of the two arguments there? Clive is very much saying fluke. Cam saying perhaps we need to be looking at a little bit more in a certain area between the sticks. What's your analysis?
Yeah, probably a bit of both, Craig. I think we were dreadfully unlucky last night. We played a good game. We played a solid game. We were more than a match for Wycombe, and they got lucky. Listening to other people today, some people are saying that it was fluky. Some people are blaming the goalkeeper. We'll not get into that now, Craig. I'm sure you'll take us down that road shortly, but. I'm not one for blaming Pim. Yes, we can look back at Lincoln, but I think it was just a fluke goal, and I'd probably fall to the side of Clive with my opinion.
I think it's a very. I just need to mute Cam because he's doing something. There you go. That's what all the background noise was. It's a very interesting one, Clive, to sort of delve into. I think we probably should go down the route of looking at whether or not to blame Pim for it. Personally, I don't think we can last night. It was one of those horrible ones. I've watched it back. I watched it back a number of times before I left my dad's. Fuming because I think we very much deserved to take a point from the game, and disappointed that it meant 3 successive defeats. But I've watched it back again today, and no matter what angle I watched from, it does get caught in the wind a little bit. And, Pim's doing, I think, arguably the right thing in that situation, which is, coming out to try and claim the cross. As he's coming out and he's moving, it just goes over his head, and it's maybe a little bit of the wind which takes it. And it's one of those things. I think the more concerning thing has to be at the other end, doesn't it?
Yeah, just to qualify the goal situation, it was a fluke in that I don't think it was an intentional shot at goal. But I think Pim has some accountability. I suppose you can't blame Pim for being 6 inches too short, because a taller keeper would have had no trouble with that, and other situations. I mean, earlier in the game, of course, Pim quite successfully, but notably elected to punch balls because another keeper may well have stood his ground and caught them in the air. So I think there's a lack of capability in certain circumstances where Pim's concerned, and I think it's purely down to the fact he's not as tall as most keepers at this level tend to be. But yeah, let's just call it one of those things and move on from there. You're right, though, to focus on the other end. We're not scoring goals. We're not creating goals. Will Evans has dried up. He had a very poor game, I thought, last night. Spent too much time berating the officials and not enough time chasing the opportunities. I think he's lost a little bit of that early season joy. But these things happen,
Absolutely.
I think the main thing is we're missing Gregory.
Yeah.
Gregory has this component part to his game, which no one else in the team's got.
I'll come back to the striker thing in a minute. I just want to wrap up the goalkeeping situation, Cam. Was your comments just born out of frustration now that you've watched it back, or do you still think that there's a little bit of blame to be had?
After watching it back and talking about it, I think it's definitely both. I don't think we don't do ourselves any favours that we can't score. And I think that just amplifies more that we've got shortcomings in other areas. You've got to look at the last 2 games as a whole. We were caught napping on Saturday, and it cost us in the first 2 minutes of the second half. And we've not been able to close out a game that we were. I think we were more than happy with the point, and I think we deserved a point. We didn't do enough at one end, but we did very well to keep a very, very high scoring squad out. And the frustration is obviously that we're not scoring, but I think the overriding frustration for me is the fact that we've not seen the game out. We've not kept them out. So yes, we've got shortcomings in other areas, but it just highlights that we need to be stronger defensively. You look at Saturday, we should have scored an absolute hatful, and we didn't. And last night, there were opportunities that we definitely should have done better in. And I think a striker that's maybe got a little bit more confidence would have put one of those away. It didn't happen. We've got to we've got to park it. We've just got to get on with it and try and salvage something Saturday and turn us misfortune around, because you can't say Lady Luck's not been on our side the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty horrific. Decisions, opportunities, one of them things, but frustrating at the moment, to say the least.
Craig, let's bring you in on this. Obviously, I think it's fair to say that you can isolate last night and put that down to a little bit of misfortune and probably top of the league luck, which we saw a lot last season go in our favour. But let's go back to the Bristol Rovers game. Another 1-0 defeat, as Cam alluded to there, weren't switched on enough at the start of the second half and allowed Bristol Rovers to perhaps get a bit of a cheap goal. What was your assessment of that one? And can you attribute that game to a little bit of misfortune, or was that just a poor performance in that isolated incident?
Yeah, well, I'm going to agree with Cam, actually, because what Cam started talking about was at the back, we have been exposed a little bit this season, and that happened, didn't it, with the Bristol Rovers game? We switched off. We came out at half time in the second half. We switched off, and they played, good football to go 1-0 up. But I think, just touching on the other end, the goal scoring. When you look back over the last couple of seasons, we've had goals coming from different areas of the team, and I think we're not seeing that so much this season. Probably real bad place to be. Yes, he's great, but when he's not, what does that mean for us? Well, do we need to give others opportunity? Ben Waine, give him a couple of starts, see what he can do. I don't know. That's open to different opinion, but we need to start firing from around the box. We don't seem to be creating enough space and getting enough shots away to give us an opportunity to get a couple of goals. But that's my opinion of Bristol Rovers, but where we are currently, Craig.
I think the goal scoring situation, Clive, has got to be addressed. I think, like we alluded to before, Will Evans is not quite hitting the form that we want from him. But is that down to him rushing his chances? Is it down to him being a little bit too eager? Or is it plain and simply, and this is my view, it's down to him having the wrong partner? Him and Lee Gregory work very well, but when Lee Gregory's not playing, Will Evans has to do a lot of other work, including dropping deeper, and therefore is very, 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 very questionable at times. Yeah,
you're probably right. But what choices at the moment does Clough have? Gregory's not available. You can't do much about that. Tom Nichols isn't seemingly in favour at the moment. The Speedy Gonzalez is still a few weeks away from being available on the bench. The Will Evans started well and therefore deserves his opportunities. I'm not sure that it's a really good partnership putting alongside Lucas Akins. Lucas Akins absorbs an awful lot of attention from the other team, which is a really positive thing, and doesn't get any credit for it from some of our fans, by the way. But he isn't Gregory, and he can't be Gregory. We've never replaced DKD, so we are a little bit adrift from where we were this time last year in terms of goals from anywhere. So I just think that we've lost a little bit of ground. That takes a little bit of confidence away. We've nothing to be despairing about, because we'd have settled for 24 points or whatever it is after this number of games at the start of the season. I don't think we need to worry too much about it. We're not being hammered. We've not had the rub of the green. Certainly, we didn't get the rub of the green yesterday. It was throughout the game. Oh, by the way, immediately after the second half, we nearly did the same again yesterday. We nearly conceded within 30 seconds of the kickoff. And it just seems to me they've come out, they're not quite up for it. But that's probably just an illusion. There isn't a simple solution to this, quite honestly. I trust Clough to make the best decisions he can, given the resources he's got. And, I don't put myself in the bracket of one of the 7,500 experts that we have at the football club.
I'm going to be a little bit controversial and say that the options Clough has are limited a little bit further, Cam, by Nigel Clough being Nigel Clough. And what I mean by that is you have an experienced League One player in Tom Nichols that's begging for games, that's desperate to come and make an impact, gets nowhere near the squad, and Clough seemingly would rather continue to. I feel like the word isolate him is a little bit unfair, but I can't think of another word for it. And just sort of leaves him on the edge of the 18, and would rather put somebody like, and this is no disrespect to Ben Quinn either, but would rather put a youngster on the bench than give Nichols the opportunity, especially when we're sort of without Lee Gregory. It almost feels like even if all the strikers weren't available, that Tom Nichols would still find it very, very difficult to get in. Whether he's carrying a bit of a knock, whether that's a training ground thing, I don't know what it is. But we need to mix it up a little bit. It's clear that we need to get some goals back in us. Yet Tom Nichols, who is desperate to be given a chance, like Ben Waine is doesn't seem to be getting the call. He's more likely to get the call from the lottery saying your numbers have come up at the minute than what he is from Clough saying you're in the 18, isn't he?
I think you could say the same about Ben Quinn as well. You've got a feel for the lad. You think, all right, Nichols was already here. Nichols was brought in to do a job, and he did the job that he was brought in to do. Let's be real. The only reason we got Nichols is because we couldn't get Gregory. Sorry, Tom. I really like you. You're a good player. That's the reason he's here.
He'll draw so much comfort from that, Cam.
Sorry, I know. It just comes across harsh, but you look at the facts. That's why. But he came in and he's done a job, and he's proved that he's a capable player. And I think you've got to look on the face of it. Yeah, I think maybe we are a little bit guilty going back to the old ways of Clough just being a little bit too stuck in his ways, not changing it up. You look at Ben Waine rearing to try and get a chance, only gets brought on in late in the second half. Tom Nichols can't be anywhere close. And same again, you've got Ben Quinn, who's come in. Obviously, all right, he's got a point to prove that he's good enough, but how can you do that when he doesn't even get a chance? I think...
Well, that's the price that some players are now paying for having a big squad, most of whom are now fit.
Very
true. Like George Williams can't get in the frame because...
I think George Williams is a slight anomaly at the minute, though.
Yeah, because he won't have been in the squad for quite a while, so he's not been match fit anyway.
More importantly, he's not needed at the moment in the position he would be normally playing.
No,
the only problem is this of having a big hole left by Gregory. Now, that just says one thing to me. We have to spend some money on a striker in January because, Gregory was never going to be here in the long term anyway. We can't carry on with having makeshift strikers. I mean, best for the world, Lucas Akins is never going to be the striker that some of our fans think he should be. It's like people saying, why aren't you playing Bowery up front because he's got number 9 on his shirt? Well, it doesn't make any sense in today's game to do that.
Jordan Bowery's a centre-back. He's a wing-back defender.
Lucas Akins is a better defender than he is a striker. I think we have a dilemma. It's not the end of the world. We have to stop losing games 1-0, but no one's tanning our arses, are they? We're playing some good sides and we're giving a good account of ourselves. Lady Luck last night deserted us. We should have come away with a point, but absolutely no more than a point.
I want to come back to that in a minute. I want to get Craig's take first and foremost on the striker situations, the Nichols, the Waine, Quinn the younger, etc.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Oh, yeah, it's a real tough one, isn't it? I mean, I was sat there last night and watching the second half and really just wish we'd start trying to fire some shots at goal. And we saw Oates warm up, didn't we? And we knew we wasn't going to be on the bench. But at the start of this campaign, on this podcast, we were talking that I don't see where Oates fits into this team. However, yesterday, last night, I would have loved to have seen Oates come on and see what he could do. So, we have got a dilemma. As Clive said, Akins does a great job, and what he does goes unnoticed. But he holds the ball up well. But we don't have all the players running in behind. Will Evans will do that, but should we try a different type of game bring in, one of the other strikers to work with Will Evans and, see what that partnership looks like. I'd like to see that. I think our team's working us out with Akins, maybe. Do we need to rush in and bring a striker in January? I don't know. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. It's a difficult one. We've got lots of strikers, and it's around opportunity. We've got a lot of games in December. Are we going to see others have opportunities, see what they can do that will help us make that decision as we go to the transfer window in January?
No, I think there's definitely decisions to be made, isn't there?
I think also, Craig, you've got to remember the team was set up last night to defend. Quite
Craig,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their team had one enormous advantage over us. They were faster in just about every division. They were fluid. They got 3 really confident strikers who knew each other's game inside out. And we did tremendously well to deal with that, to the point where they were taken off. So we did all the things that we set out to do really well. And it was the only bit of bad luck that cost us in the end. So I don't think we need to spend the rest of our lives ruining the fact we lost to the team, which is, running away at the moment with confidence. But I still can't see a solution to the lack of goals at the moment, because we're not set up to score that many goals. The only way we're going to get Will Evans on the score sheet is getting good crosses from the flanks. Our crossing hasn't been good enough.
The problem with Will Evans,
our dead ball play, we're just not doing it, and that's a slight cause for concern. We had a couple of free kicks in decent positions yesterday. We did bugger all with them, really.
The problem with Will Evans, though, at the minute is having to drop a lot deeper because we've not got the other figure.
He's going looking for the ball.
Yeah, and he does well to win it, but he just can't get forward. He can't be in 2 places at once. It's that age-old quandary about getting the right partnerships together, and obviously having Lee Gregory missing and for what could be a couple of months with a knee injury is quite concerning as well. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Let's go through a few of them. Canny Lad on YouTube says, did someone rub butter on Akins' boots last night? His ball control was horrendous last night. Now, you see, Lucas Akins, Nigel Clough has said this himself, has got the touch of, like an elephant. It just bounces off him. It just hits him and goes 40 yards, which is why, incidentally, he appears to be good when he's at wing back, because it hits him and it's almost like a clearance. He's playing up front. He's got his back to goal. Therefore, it's coming back at us quicker than what we want. Just saying, it's something which we might need to look at. I think you need to
also bear in mind that when the ball was put up to Lucas Akins, some of the balls delivered weren't very good. But he tends to do better with them than other players might do in those circumstances. But every turn, he got 2 defenders on him. They gave him the respect of putting players on him. And I think if you talk to any of the pros in the game, they'll tell you how good Lucas Akins is.
And yet somehow Lee Gregory manages to win a ball, and it doesn't end up coming back into our own defence.
He's not the same player, is he? Not the same type of player.
Well, they're playing the same role, though, so I would expect the same from them. That'd be my argument. They're playing as a target forward. They're there to hold the ball up, and if it's bouncing off Akins and coming back to defence, he's not doing the job of that particular role. Whether he's good enough to play that role or not is a different thing. Personally, I don't think he's good enough for League One, but he's a good player he's a good utility player to have around, and he's good to have in your squad. I do like him. He does take a bit of flack, but I just don't think he's quite the answer for us, especially when you've got hungry strikers, like we alluded to before, knocking on the door, but there's no answer from the management. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Simon says, goals have dried up. Beginning of the season, we were shooting from outside the area and scoring, either not getting into those positions or trying to walk it in. Midfield need to contribute to the goals as well. There's a little bit of truth in that, Craig, as well. Just sort of thinking back to the Bristol Rovers game. I actually felt first half we played really, really well. Zippy surface. It was a horrible day weather-wise as well. Sometimes it felt like we were trying to overpass, and I think the case in point, and this probably comes back to Will Evans a little bit as well, we had a really good situation where we zinged around, 3, 4, 5, 6 passes from all the way from the back, across the right, across the left, gets to Evans on the edge of the box, and it's sat up perfect for him to have a shot and put it in the top corner. What does he do? Overpasses it to McLaughlin, and we lose the momentum.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. I wonder if Evans is struggling a little bit with confidence. He looks flustered a little bit on the ball. He's rushed a lot of chances, not just the last 2 or 3 games, but I think if you go back to Birmingham, I think the one-on-one as well. A couple of one-on-ones where he's not done as well as we'd have hoped. So I'm really hoping that certainly at Stevenage, if we can get Will Evans back on the score sheet, get his confidence back where he needs to be, we might see the old Will Evans, but the Will Evans that we saw at the start of the season, because he was we've seen him fire goals from outside the box. And we need that player back. We need that player who's shooting from range and testing the keeper.
I think one thing to remember about Will Evans as well is that he's not had the experiences which other footballers had. Only 3-4 years ago he was playing Welsh non-league, wasn't he? He's not come through the conventional route. He's had a very rapid rise into the game and he finds himself at a level. I think it is a confidence thing. And I think, had that goal which he tucked in last night been given as onside rather than flagged offside, which was marginal from what I saw from the replay, it might have been, very, very different. Indeed, it's all about confidence. And I think it's like anything. The longer you go without doing something, the more and more it plays on your brain, sort of not being able to do it and getting flustered and things. We just need to relax a little bit. Keep your comments coming in. The Gate says a shot from 20 yards is just as difficult than trying to get a shot off from 4 yards. Have a crack when a chance drops. Marie says Akins is a better right back and we're back to trying to find Flint's head every corner. There's a lot of balls Gregory doesn't challenge for, says Andy. And Simon's also thrown in this comment. Cameron, I'll put it to you. Controversial. Are we more solid at the back without Flint? Set plays are too predictable when Flint plays. I'm going to also throw a caveat to that and say that Aidan Flint's been back in the starting lineup for the past 3 games.
I'm going to throw even a bigger spanner in the work. I don't think Flint's the problem. I think Oshlager is.
Are you slagging off Dave?
No, I'm not slagging off Dave.
Let's go.
I
will put you down. I will come to Rotherham and I will put your face through that wall.
It's not that Dave is the problem. It's that I think 2 problems can be solved here. You can either have Dave out the back line, and you can have either Kilgore drop in, or just play as a back 4 and have Flint on the right, Cargill on the left. But then that allows us to have Dave in the middle, which is where he was brought in for.
Now you see,
as much as he's done a good job in the midfield, I think that solves more of a problem if we drop Stephen Quinn, Lewis Reed, who have not done anything recently. We've been attributing poor passing in the last 2 games. I think everybody's passing game's been off. I think Oshlager and Hewitt had an absolute shocker in the first half on Saturday. How many times did they kick the ball out of play?
Are you for real?
They were good going forward, but they put the ball out 4 times playing that nice little tiki-taka football. It didn't work.
Can I have a pint of what Cam's been drinking?
Well, I'm just saying,
Wow.
if you move players around, we've got no punch in midfield because
I'll punch you in midfield in a minute.
Reed's just gone missing. Quinn's not got the legs
What a
for
load of
it.
bollocks.
Quinn's legs have gone. Reed's not affecting games. He can't cross a ball for the last few games. It's just
Yes, the Gate. Yes, the
final
Gate.
product. Dave wasn't. Yeah, but that's why you've got a defender in there. We've got Kilgore sat on the bench for the last God knows how long. Why?
Because Kilgore's not match fit and needs game time.
Oh, he's match fit now.
Again,
What,
you
he
see, this is
plays
where
one-
Mansfield Town Football Club is so fortunate to have as many amateur experts as we've got. And Cam epitomises that thing. He knows better. He knows that Kilgore's ready. He's 100% fit. You cannot knock that amount of expertise. The amount of insight that Cam brings, it's remarkable. And I envy him. I really am. I feel so inadequate in his presence.
PC Felton, I'm demoting you to trainee constable.
That's fine.
Policewoman cadet.
It does solve problems. Take Dave out of that defence. It shores up the midfield, and we've just got games where you've just got players that are just waltzing through the midfield, leaving the back line to deal with it, and even then they're not dealing with it.
Can I say on that? I agree with Cam. I do think that Dave is a better asset in front of the back line. Because it's just a link between midfield and defence, and I'm sure that Reid would value that in his normal game relationship. Reid wasn't there last night, and you could tell. So you can criticise him all you like for his recent form, but he'd be one of the first names on my team sheet. But but every player can have an off day. Last night, everybody worked their socks off. There's no criticism at all about work rate and ethic. But they were a better team in most parts of the park than we were. So where we were is heading for a 0-0 draw. End of. We didn't get it. That's just bad luck. But don't go lambasting players simply because a couple of passes go adrift.
Especially Dave, because
don't ever diss Dave.
Don't diss Dave. Because, and I had this argument with a gentleman that sits in front of me at the Wonk on Saturday. I say argument, I just told him his opinion was wrong. It was, and that is, you have to understand tactically that it's a very different game that you play when you play as right side centre back or left side centre back versus playing as the central pin in the three, which Dave has been playing expertly well. Aidan Flint plays that role, and this, I've got nothing against Flint. I think he's a cracking player. He was fantastic for us last season, and even at times last night he was superb. He made some really good challenges. Obviously, worried on with 2 tampons up his nose and everything. He did really, really well for us, but he's slow. And in that central role, the central role of that 3, as I understand it, is to go and win your headers and win the ball, which means stepping forward. Now, when you step forward, your right side and left side centre backs drop in, you become a 4 and you get covered. And then it's the job of that central pin, central defender to get back and to get into position. Flint doesn't do that as much or as well because he's not got the pace to do it. Likewise, when you're playing as that central pin, you can go and carry and go and support the midfield. When Dave plays that role, because he's got a little bit more of athleticism and a little bit more youth and energy on his side, he plays that role very well. We become compact as a 4. We get it out to the wing backs. He can go and play in midfield and do everything which Cam was alluding to. As right side centre back, he's got to do a very different job, and I feel he's adapted to it well. He supported Elliot Hewitt very well indeed. He made a good couple of runs last night as well and got some decent balls in the box. And slagging off Dave is a red card offence in my book.
I wasn't intending on slagging off Dave. I just think that he's more effective elsewhere.
Here's a question for you then, everybody. If you could choose either Flint in your back 4 or Dave in your back 4, everything else remaining the same, what would be your choice?
Are we saying back 4 or back 3 as we are playing?
Sorry, back line. It doesn't matter whether it's 5-3 or whatever. So you've got to either have one of Flint or Dave. Forget putting Dave in midfield. It has to be a defensive position. Which one would you choose?
I'm going to be honest. I'm not saying this just to back up my own argument, but Dave.
Yeah, I would. And I'll tell you for why. Flint can't distribute. Flint, when he advances, then he's powerless to get back in time to do his day job. His job is to be tall and defensive, and he does that really well as long as the ball's coming at him. He's as good as me when he goes up to try and score because he's just tall and useless, and I'm just short and useless. But I just think he has an absolute role to play, and beyond that, he can't do anything. And I have to think that Dave is far more versatile and more creative, and that's why I think I would have him in my defence if I had to choose one between one and the 2. But we don't have to make that choice, do we? Because you can do what I think Cam was alluding to, is to have the best of both worlds. That just means shoving Dave further forward.
Yeah, I concur that if we were playing a back 4, then Aidan Flint would be in there. But a back 3, Dave takes that centre role, and when George Williams is fit and available, he becomes the right side centre half. Craig, you're tonight playing the role of Alan Wilson, who is usually the peacekeeper, is the voice of sense. And the times we've had you on the podcast, I said earlier on, Alan was taking his seat and everything tonight, and I said, "Oh, it's Fathead, aka Craig," and he went, "Oh yeah, okay, I like him. He's the perfect choice to play your role because he's like a mediator." It's all kicking off here. Mediate.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Craig. Well, first and foremost, Dave has been our best player, all season. Absolutely. Without him, we would be. That
is where you end your comment.
Hang on.
But it's an interesting one because back five, back four, it looks very different for me. If I had my choice, I'll just quickly go through my back five. So 3 at the back, 2 wing backs. I'd actually have Flint, Cargill, and Kilgore once he's fit, his match fit. Have those 3 at the back, and with Tracy and Hewitt as the wing backs, and in front of those 2, Dave and Lewis Reed, because Dave is he can command that midfield, that area in front of the defence. But what we have seen from him is he's not afraid to take the ball forward, just like Cargill and just like Tracy. And if you watch those three players, they're not afraid, carry the ball, and those in that back 5 will really set us up. That's just my opinion. I'm not a manager. I don't profess to be. But for me, that would I'd like to see that play out and see how that back 5 with the 2 in front, Dave and Reed, see how that would work.
Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Lots of people getting involved in the Dave versus Flint argument. It's not even a debate. I mean, let's be honest. If Aidan Flint is watching or listening to this, you can play where the hell you like, son. And if you've got any anger or any resentment towards any of the comments which I've made tonight, please refer them to Cam Felton. I will send you his address because you scare me and I like you. Right, let's move on.
Send him to me. I want him on the pitch. I want him in the back line. I want Dave in the midfield.
He could give you a nice little hug and a punch to send my way, and then I'll punch you back. Anyway, I just want to hit Cam. Where's all this hate coming from tonight? I don't know. I'm just... Wednesday, you've got me rattled.
See, what you've got to remember is Cam plays the part on the Mansfield Matters podcast that Lucas Aitkins plays in the team. He's there to be hit. People want to have a go at him. And Cam, you're perfectly suited.
I can't disagree. I don't know what roles we play, but there you go. Yeah.
I'm a steward.
I'll take the role of Christy Pym, who sits back, watches it all happen, calm and considerate, and on occasion drops a clanger. But let us know what roles we play. If us as podcasters were players, which players would we be? Which ones suit the thing? Anyway, keep your comments coming in. Marie says Dave over Flint in the back 4. The Gate says if Dave wasn't in the back line, we'd be hemorrhaging goals down that flank. Chris says, for me, Quinn's legs have gone, need to play Lewis instead. That's more attacking too. Marie says Kilgore's not ready. He needs a reserve game time. Chris adds, surely in midfield with Dave, Backus and Lewis is much better, more energy too. Lots of comments just saying, Dave! The Gate says...
marvellous. It's not his name, but he's now got it.
I know. Do you know what I genuinely love about this now? I genuinely hear from...
all over the terraces, people shouting, Dave,
Dave. Yeah, it's great. The power of the Mansfield Matters podcast. The Gate says Dave's like a defensive Uncle Quinn, a Duracell bunny on Colombian marching powder. Oh dear, love that one. Keep your comments coming in and have your say on your team. Lots and lots to talk about. Let's just touch upon that midfield thing for a second, Craig, shall we? Chris saying for me that Quinn's legs have gone, need to play Lewis instead. I like Aaron Lewis when he played. I thought he played very well last night. A well hit free kick, which was well saved by the goalkeeper. Keanu Backus, on the other hand, as well. I don't know whether it's a thing for him where we need to find the right position or the right formation, because when he came on for George Maris last night, we did seem to lack something, because I felt George Maris also had a sublime game, doing the defensive work very, very well as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. Probably a couple of points for me. I agree. Maris did a great job and had a great game, but I don't think it's 100% yet. I don't think we've seen the old Maris, from last season when he's 100%. Trying to think of the other one, Quinn. You mentioned Quinn. I reflect back to the Bristol Rovers game, and he looked really tired for me. He looked very different at that Bristol Rovers game, and really looked like, I won't say his legs had gone, but, he was tired. However, we know he's a game changer. I wouldn't
Don't
want
you
to see
think
him.
that Clough recognises that there are certain games where Quinn can perform and certain games where you shouldn't put him in the side because it represents a risk? I think
Yeah.
the research that they'll have done on last night's opponents would have said this is not a Quinn game.
Yeah, Clive, 100% agree. Again, goes back. We're not the manager, are we? We believe in Clough, and I think you're right. He picks a team because he knows the opponents, and he does that really well. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it certainly does. Lots more to talk about here on the Mansfield Matters podcast. Keep having your say on your team. David says people should get off Aiken's back. If defenders did, then we might be all right. He might hold on to the ball for a bit longer. Only joking. Keep having your say on your team. Anything Mansfield Town related you want to talk about, we can do so. We're going to talk about the 3 back-to-back defeats and a comment which Clive made earlier on, which I want to just pick up on a little bit more. Plus, we'll be having a little look ahead to the December fixtures, and I'll be highlighting, and this could be a controversial statement, why Saturdays. You got a highlight? Is that a highlighter there, Clive, or is it just a pen?
I'm gonna clean my ear out in a minute.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe there's enough wax in there to create a Lucas Aiken statue.
Yeah, life size.
Yeah,
Moving swiftly on.
More effective tip.
You see where the wick will. You see where the wick will be.
Well, you wait and see. Let's leave that to people's imaginations for me. And after the break, I'm going to be making a very bold statement indeed. That statement relates to the Stevenage FA Cup game. So stay tuned to find out what that will be. But first, shall we earn some advertising money, shall we? Why not? You're back with the Mansfield Matters podcast. It's the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Thanks so much for joining us on this Wednesday evening. Alongside me, Clive Parkin, Cam Felton, and our special guest tonight as well, Craig, a.k.a. Fathead, a.k.a. the podcast predictions reigning champ. But is he top of the podcast predictions league at the end of November? Where does he sit? Where do we all sit? We're going to find out later on in the show as we do our roundup for November. And look ahead, of course, to the December fixtures, including an FA Cup trip to Stevenage, which I'm going to make a bold statement about soon, and a league trip to Bolton.
Can I just make one point about last night? What an atrocious gate for a team that's flying so high as Wycombe. Absolutely astonished there was only 4,000 odd there, of which 908 were Stags fans. They don't deserve to be where they are.
That's a cracking attendance. That's a cracking attendance from us on a Tuesday night against.
It was remarkable because it's far more than I thought we'd take. But what do the Wycombe fans want, for goodness' sake? 9 games, 9 consecutive successes, and they still can't turn out. Anyway, that's me grump out of the way.
Well, speaking of grumps, earlier on you did say come up with a quote along the lines of We've lost 3 games, but we're not having our arses tanned. And one of the things I want to talk about tonight, Cam, is we've lost 3 games on the spin. We failed to score in those 3 games. Each individual game in isolation, you can turn around and say, yeah, that's unlucky. The Wrexham game, it's a decent finish from outside the box, but we're in the game. We play really well. Bristol Rovers, it's a little bit of a moment of lapse concentration, 1 shot, 1 goal, and they take all 3 points, perhaps undeservedly. And then last night, we really should have got a point. It's just an unlucky fluke that it goes in the 92nd minute or whatever. But 3 games on the bounce, 1-0, 3 1-0 defeats, so 3 defeats on the spin, 3 games without scoring. That's a sequence. Are we now hitting bad form? And the reason that I say it, and the reason that it needs to change quickly, is because we saw last season how much momentum helped us. You go on a good run like Wycombe, for example. Things fall for you. You get confidence in your games. The longer we go on losing games and not scoring goals, the harder we're going to find it to get out of a rut, and then we're going to slide to a position we don't want to be in. And as Craig will talk about very shortly as we look to the December fixtures is we've got a lot of games coming thick and fast, and all of a sudden we can go from being in the playoffs and having started really well to just outside the bottom four. Do we need to talk about sequences and consequences of not putting things right, Cam?
Yeah, I think this weekend's a perfect opportunity to do that away from the league. If we go out and score a few goals but still lose, I take that as a small positive. It means one less game in January for one, but it's a perfect opportunity to give players that probably need a game. I'd be very happy to see Tom Nichols, but I can't see it happening. If they decide to shuffle the back four around, back five, whatever, perfect opportunity because we've lost 3 on the bounce, so you've got to change something. So it does give us this opportunity. Effective. I don't like it because I would like to be in round 3. It's a perfect opportunity to get a decent tie, but you could consider this weekend as a free hit because it doesn't affect our league position. And we've seen in many a season gone by what a good FA Cup run can do for you, not only financially but confidence-wise as well. And it also gives us a perfect opportunity to get some revenge on Stevenage. They came to us a few months ago and won 1-0 and did a full-on job on us. Perfect opportunity for us to go and part right the wrongs that we've created so far this season. And it's got to change at some point. Our bad luck is just not going to continue in this way. We've had opportunities to score that have just fell wrong. We've had refereeing decisions go against us. We've had injuries to players at bad times during games. You think Fraser Blake Tracy coming off on Saturday didn't help us at the time that he came off. And something's got to turn at some point. You'd like to think. And we know we're not a bad team. We know we're a good team. We know we've got players that can play at this level, but we're not showing it at the moment. Yeah, we ran Wrexham tight to a 1-0, but you look at the other games, we beat Barnsley on the other day. We got a good draw against Birmingham. We got a good draw against Stockport, and that should have also been a win as well. We know we can tango with the teams at the top. So it is just a bit of a bad run, and it is a sequence that's starting to arise, but we've got enough time to turn it around, but it's got to start soon because, like you alluded to, these fixtures in December don't get any easier, and we've got some long-distance journeys to be made.
Do we need to be looking at it with a little bit more scrutiny, Craig, when you consider that, 3 games on the spin that we've lost, or be unlucky in all 3 in isolation, 3 games without a goal, but with the games coming up thick and fast, we can fall very, very quickly, and that then becomes a problem going into January. Is that why we need to sort of stop the rot or stop the ruts sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I think Craig, it's, we don't need to panic. We've proved that we're more than a match for any team in this league. We've not been shipping goals. However, it's the other end. We're not scoring goals. We're not getting goals from the rest of the team. However, we're at that point where we need to, stop the rot, break the sequence, whatever you want to call it. And there's an opportunity on Saturday. It's a bit of a difficult one on Saturday, isn't it? Because we'd like to see an FA Cup run. It brings in, revenue. It's also good for confidence. But to concentrate on the league, give players a run out, kill door, etc. Try something different up front, and risk not having the cup run, but actually seeing what other players can do. And my personal opinion is I think we need to do that. I'd like to see us do that. But equally, we need to get a pretty soon to get that confidence back. We need that confidence back. We need to stop that this sequence, as you're calling it, Craig, and get us back to where we should be. Get a couple of wins under the belt. If nothing else, a couple of draws, but get us back where we've got all those games. We could go from 0 to 0, but also we could find ourselves, back heading towards the top of the league. It's a real pivotal month, and we'll in January. And what do we always say in January? That's a good marker in terms of where you're heading towards the end of the season. But yeah, pivotal moment sadly for me, Craig.
I think the key words in all of that, Clive, and all of this conversation is finding confidence again.
Yeah, I think we're in a better position than you might imagine we should be, given we've just lost 3 games on the bounce. The team is absolutely wearing the shirt. They're absolutely together as a group of players, as a team, as a football club, and that sets us aside from many, and certainly sets us aside from some of our teams in the recent past. We haven't got any prima donnas now. We've got players that want to win. We've got players that want to win for the club and for the fans. That's got to be a good foundation for moving forward. I don't personally give a damn about whether we're in the FA Cup or not. I think the only thing we should be concerned about is staying in this league. But you're right. A good cup run tends to give you the momentum that you might not get from the league fixtures. It might give you some relief from the league fixtures. And certainly that's the only justification at the moment. It would give you some relief from what's been disappointing outcomes. But I don't think we've anything to worry about. I think we're on our day, when our players are available to us, and they are pretty much available to us now, we shouldn't be frightened of any team in this league. We were a match for the team that's comfortably at the top of the league leaderboard this season. Last night we were their match. Even though they had a better team, we found a way of dealing with them. Apart from the unfortunate nature of the way the game ended. We've been a match to Birmingham. We recognise Birmingham's a better side in many ways, and they should be. They're spending enough money. So we have a habit of slipping up when we shouldn't do. But by and large, we are as good as anybody in this league. So I can't understand why anybody should feel despondent about the circumstance. Now, if in 5 more games we still haven't scored a goal, I think I'd share the view. Oh, he's gone.
Dealing with a knobhead. A dog. Dealing with a knobhead dog. Keep me hello. Yeah, you think Cam should get pooed on for slagging off Dave as well. I agree. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. The Gate says we'll be fine. It's just a blip, a momentary lapse in the grand scheme of things. We're not playing poorly. We're challenging well. We're keeping our support up home and away, and the boys will come around and the look will change. Stikes Chat says, I still believe Ben Quinn needs a decent run out. I think he's got it in him, but January transfer ain't that far away. I'm going to make a bold statement about the Stevenage game, and I'm not sure you're all going to agree with me, but it's based on sequences and getting out of the rut, and I'm going to put it out there now, Cam, and I'm going to say Stevenage on Saturday is a must-win game.
Yeah, you could say every game at this level is a must-win. We've got to try and win every game, otherwise we'll find ourselves slipping down the table. But I presume what you mean is to get things going in the right direction before it's too late. Because, like you said, you can end up on this slippery slope, and you don't want to be playing funny games in January, because who's to say someone's not going to come and poach one of your best players? You don't want to be in a position where you are, not only are we short in positions, but you know that, say God forbid Tom Nichols does decide he's right, I want to leave, and someone comes in for him, we're proper up shit creek without a paddle, because it leaves us very limited with options, and quite clearly Clough doesn't rate his other options. I think it's just we've got to get out this losing mindset.
And this is why I'm saying that Saturday is a must-win game, because if we go into it and we lose it, not only are we out of the FA Cup, which can arguably, when you get to round 2, you need to be winning that, because the chance of getting a big draw away from home against a Premier League team and getting the financial rewards from it, at the highest they're going to be. When you've going into it also, again, on the run of 3 successive defeats, 3 games without a goal, it's an opportunity to go, well, it's an FA Cup game, not a league game, so it's a change of mindset, but also it's against a fellow League One side. If we were to lose that game, Craig, I think it would be detrimental mentally for us and with our confidence, because all we'll have left to focus on is the league, and we'll be going into the Bolton game, who are in decent enough form, having lost 4 games on the bounce in all competitions, which isn't good enough regardless of whether you're in a relegation fight, whether you stabilising for mid-table. It's certainly not good enough for the quality which we've got in our squad. Saturday is a must-win game.
Yeah, I tend to agree, Craig. I don't think there's any reason to panic in terms of there's lots and lots of games left. It becomes a Saturday, and take not 3 points, but take the win and get into the third round. Like I say before, I'd like to see us give others opportunity. But if we don't get over the line on Saturday, we're going to go into 3 really difficult games in the league: Huddersfield, Charlton, and they're going to take no prisoners. Yes, we've already said we're a match-ready team, but they're big clubs, and they aren't doing too bad in the league either. So it's we're heading to 3 games, and we need. That's my view, and hopefully we'll come away with that win on Saturday.
It is a good opportunity to change things around and mix things up, Clive. I've written out what I think could be a formation for us on Saturday to get some players in, to rotate it around a little bit as well, and also to give us a chance of progressing the game, because Nigel Clough, he won't go into the game half-hearted. He'll want to win it and want to make progress, because it's a game of football and he wants to win games of footballs. My side, by the way, is Flinders in goal, and it's a 4-2-3-1 with Hewitt right back, Kilgore and Cargill as the central pair, McLaughlin as left back, Dave and Reed as your sitting defensive midfielders, Akins on the right side of a midfield 3 with Maris in the middle and Lewis to the left of it, with Evans up top, which can move into a 4-4-2. It can move into a back 5. It can be a little bit fluid. There it is in all its glory when it decides to focus. But that won't happen.
Nice.
My team is not entirely dissimilar, except I go 4-4-2. I'd rest Akins, and I'd put Nichols up alongside Will Evans.
Yeah, we definitely need to mix the changes up and see what we can do. We'll do our GOAT predictions for that in just a second. But first, we need to figure out who's where in the table. As always, if you've got anything else Mansfield Town related you want to talk about, feel free to get involved in the comments and have your say on your team. But first, it's the end of November. We've got the reigning champion with us. Let's find out where everybody is, shall we? So can you be the master or an embarrassing disaster? In this guessing game, there's a simple aim. It's outguess the rest and be the best. Win, lose or draw. Do you know the score? Who will be your hero to make sure you don't score 0? Yes, it may be fiction, but this is Podcast Predictions. And we'll be giving our guesses to the Bolton game in just a minute. But first, let's find out where everybody is at the end of November, shall we? I'm going to read out some names. And if I don't read out your name, that means that you have made it into the top 10. So if you don't hear your name in this little bit, you are indeed in the top 10. Let's have a find out where people are then. So honourable shout-outs to Phil, who is the only player to be on minus points. He's on -5. Nathan Edge, who hasn't even entered the game this year, but gets an honorary place in the leaderboard because he's part of the Mansfield Matters crew occasionally. He's on 0 and he's second from bottom, so he's not the worst player in it. Then we've got Frank Etherington, Wonder Wally 13, Tim Taylor, Robbie MTFC, Johnny Rotten, Canny Walsup, James Dixon, Lee Nichols, Liam Marriott, Michael Gillett, Batman, not that one, Steve Kemp, Stuart Morrell, Wonder Wally 5, Matt W, Wonder Wally 68. I do wonder whether all these Wonder Wallies are the same person. I just forgot what username they've used. Andy Branson, Dave S, Joe Dalman, Tim Phillips, Wonder Wally 8, Wes, Neil Dallison, Steve Yull, Ryan JC, STGER Mansfield, Tank, Matt Green, not that one, Daniel Green, Tom Parry, Dennis Sims, Jason Witham, Sam Pateman, Charlie Rafferty, Jay, Ben Allen, The Gate, Gavi Aveson, Jim Evans, Stags Chat, Kerry Crump, Roger King, Adam Crump, Cam Felton, David C, Nick Welsh, Danny Warsup, JS, Kiwi Stag, Olivia Wilson, Ian Brown, Chris Ellison, Simon Wilson, Paul Broomhead, Fathead, Nick of MTFC Shirts fame, Dan Bauer, Otley Stags, Ashley Mutter, Proud Stags, and Marie Wilson. You are all outside of the top 10. I've not mentioned your name. Let's find out if you've made it into the top 10. In at 10 on 112 points, Sarah Stronach. I never say your surname right, so apologies if I said it wrong. Stephen Poundon at 9 with 115. Then it's Ben Swain, the PPG, the podcast predictions guru, on 117. I'm then in 7th on 121. Clive is just ahead on 125. Will Pound in 5th on 126. And it's Kathy Holmes in 4th on 128. Joint 3rd is Alan Wilson and Darren Wood on 132. Keeley of Her Game 2 is in 2nd on 146, which means Steve Nadin still leads the way at the top on 148. So well done to Steve Nadin, who leads the way at the top for podcast predictions at the end of November. We'll get all the fixtures added for the December games in the coming days, so you'll be able to get involved and put your guesses on for all of those December fixtures very, very soon indeed. First and foremost, we get no points or anything for Saturday because we only do league games, but let's have your guesses, shall we, for the FA Cup game. I'll start with Clive, then I'll go to Craig, and then I'll go to Cam.
Right, this is going to be the score, and you don't need to ask anybody else because this is going to be the score. Stevenage 3, Mansfield Town 7.
Did you just say we're going to win 7-2?
7-3.
7-3.
Craig, what about you? Are we going to win 7-3, or have you got a more sensible prediction for us?
Yeah, probably a bit more sensible. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. For the Stags.
Come on then, Cam. Give us something outrageous.
2-0 win.
It's not outrageous. So I'm going to go 17-4 on penalties after 17-16 on penalties after a thrilling 6-6 draw. In extra time after we've drawn 0-0 in normal time. It's all going to happen. It's all going to kick off. There's going to be red cards. It's going to be 9 versus 8 for the majority of the game. Christy Pym's going to come on up front. Jordan Bowery's going to have to go in goal. It's all going to go mental, right?
Sounds perfectly reasonable to me, Craig.
Crazier things have happened. Speaking of crazier things, let's do Bolton. Craig, as you're first, and you are the guest tonight, you can give your prediction. Please remember, though, however, to make sure you use the link to post your final prediction before Tuesday night's game. Bolton away, what are you going for?
Yeah, I think, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw away at Bolton.
And who do you think is going to be your player to make sure you score loads of points?
Yeah, I'm keeping fingers crossed. I'm going to say that Will Evans is going to come back to get some confidence from Saturday, and he's going to give us that goal against Bolton.
Clive, you were the only person celebrating in the away end on Tuesday night when Christy Pym saw the ball fly over the top of his head. That's because you predicted a 1-0 Wycombe win. What are you going to go for Bolton?
I'm afraid I'm going to go for another 1-0. But this time we're going to go for a 1-0 win. And that will be achieved because of a resurgent Christy Pym.
Are you going for him as your captain again?
I am.
Okay.
The Ozers won.
He does indeed. Cam, you're up next.
2-1 win. And Dave's going to be my captain.
I am going to go for a 3-1 win. I'm going to say we're going to find some confidence from somewhere. And I am going to go for Elliot Hewitt as my fantasy captain. As always, if you want to get involved and take part, then you can do so via the link that is in the description. And a reminder, you must do so no later than 1 hour and 1 minute before kick-off on your selected game. don't forget, like Cam did last night. Simple as that. And who knows, at the end of December, you could replace Steve Naden at the top of the table. It could all change in the blink of an eye. That's the beauty of podcast predictions. Right, it's the time you've all been dreading.
Loading, selecting game. Game selected. Players stand by. Sequences.
So our random game and randomly selected game tonight is a game called Sequences in honour of the sequence of results that we've recently had. Now, all of you are going to have a go at this. We've got a number of categories, and each person will select a category, and the overall winner will be the person who can correctly guess the most correct answers without an error, thus putting together the best sequence. Now, the way we are going to select the order is to go with a random number selection. So I want you to put one hand behind your back, and I want you to select a number between 1 and 5, which you're going to show by way of finger. So if you're selecting 5, you obviously put your 5 up, etc., etc. Select your number now, and in 3, 2, 1, show the camera.
You should have seen that coming.
I did see that coming. Well, Craig did it the right way. So, Craig, you could select the first category, and then I'll make Clive. Then it'll be Clive, and then it'll be Cam. So the categories are as follows: number 2s, call me coach, not gaffer. 3 or more, and what do points make? So you need to select one of those categories.
I'll select 3 or more.
Okay, so the category of 3 or more is as follows. You need to name, in order of them happening, league or cup games in which we've scored 3 or more goals, regardless of the result. So you've got to think back in order. There are 14 up for grabs, a maximum of 14 up for grabs here. You've got to think back in order of league or cup games in which we've scored 3 or more goals. It's as simple as that. Do you get the premise, Craig?
Yeah, I get the premise. Yeah, but I'm not hopeful with this one. But yeah.
Well, let's give it a go then. This is 3 or more. Craig, take it away. I'll give you the first one to kick off. Curzon Ashton in the FA Cup. So, what comes next?
I got that one, Craig. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, well, we've got to go back to last season, haven't we? Or are we in the cup? No, I'm really struggling, Craig. I'm struggling. No.
Oh, okay.
Can we jump in and steal points?
Yes, you can. Go for it.
Go on then.
You've got to get them in the right order to accumulate the points.
Curzon Ashton, Hucknall, Retford.
Oh, wrong. Clive.
Really?
Legal. You didn't listen to the stipulation, did you? Legal cup games.
Oh,
Harrogate,
no, I forgot.
No.
I know what it is.
Go on, Cam. Redeem yourself. You don't get any points, though.
It'd be Newcastle.
No.
What game have I not? Go on then, put us out of misery.
The order was Curzon Ashton, Burton, MK Dons, Bradford City, Swindon Town, Salford City, Harrogate Town, Forest Green Rovers, Crawley Town, Harrogate Town, Notts County, Doncaster Rovers, Accrington Stanley, Morecambe, and that's your run. So there you go. Right, Clive.
I think you could have made it more complicated, Craig.
Yeah, I could have done. But
I forgot about Burton.
There you go. You're up next. You get to choose the category. Your remaining categories are Call Me Coach, Not Gaffer, number twos or what the points make?
What the points make?
Okay, well, this is an easy one. All you've got to do, in order, going from last season to 10 seasons ago, is name how many points we got in a season. It's as simple as that. Take it away. 1 point per correct answer.
72, 69, 48, 33.
Whoa. Let's go a bit slower.
Shot that already.
Let's go a bit slower, shall we? So, 23-24 season, we got how many points?
142.
Incorrect. Anyone want to steal?
82.
Incorrect. Anyone want to steal?
86.
Correct, Craig. If you can name the next, the season before that, 22-23, you get another point.
84.
Oh, incorrect. It was 75, then 77, then 58, then 38 because it was the COVID season, 76, 72, 66, 64, and 48. But you did get 1 point, and overall you are leading so far.
So I didn't win then, Craig?
No, not yet. There is still a chance. Cam, you've got 2 categories to choose from. Do you want to go number twos or call me coach, not gaffer?
Number twos.
Okay. Working backwards from our current number 2 of George Williams, name the players who've worn the number 2 shirt. There's 13 points available for this one, Cam. Got to do it in order.
Callum Gordon?
Incorrect.
Fuck.
Anyone want to steal?
Who wore number 2? Oh, I don't even know. Oh, this is tough.
Richard Narty?
Incorrect. Craig, do you want to try and steal?
I'm struggling with this one.
Do we have number 2?
No, again, struggling.
I'll put you out of your misery. Callum Johnson,
Oh, completely irrelevant.
then Kellen Gordon, Corey O'Keefe, Hayden White, Reece Bennett, Liam Marsden, Richie Sutton, Paul Edwards, conference days, Gary Silk, Scott Gardner, Gary Silk again, Johnny Mullins, and then Scott McNiven.
Sandy Page?
There you go. No, Sandy, I'm not having Sandy Pate, is it? Right, there's one category remaining, right, and this is a free for all, okay?
Has it not been a free-for-all already?
No, it's not, but there you go. This is call me coach, not gaffer, and I'm going to change the rules slightly because I did say it was about sequencers, but seeing as you've struggled, I'm going to give you the name of a manager. You've got to shout your name in fact, no, you're not going to shout your own name. You just shout out a name, and the first one that I hear that's correct, I will award the point for you. So we are looking for, excluding the lesser spotted Gary Crosby, name those who've been employed as assistant manager in the instance where there was one or more assistant manager or more of a first team coach vibe. One name from the group will get you the point. So I'm going to say the manager's name. The first person to shout out the name of the assistant manager and or coach, which I have written down, will get the point. Clive, you're playing for your own points. Cam, you're playing for your own points. Pressure's on Craig because he's playing for the points for Jim, Nick, and Alan. And he's currently winning because he's got 1 point out of this entire game, which I thought was genius, has turned out to be absolute shit. But anyway, we'll move on. So, here we go. Can you name any of Carlton Palmer's assistant managers?
What the Paul Holland.
Sprout.
Yes, Cam. I heard it. Paul Holland. Can you name Peter Shirtlift's assistant manager?
Paul Holland.
Correct, Cam. Well done. Can you name any of David Holdsworth's assistants?
Duncan Russell.
Yes, Cam. Well done. Can you name Duncan Russell's assistant?
Adam Murray.
Frozen out. Cam is frozen out. It's not Adam Murray. Clive or Craig, do you want to have a guess at Duncan Russell's assistant?
No.
Clive?
No.
Paul Hall.
Paul
Hall. Who's Paul Hall?
Paul Hall. Cam, you back in for this one. Paul Cox.
Adam Murray.
Correct,
Adam
Cam.
Murray.
Well done. Cam's on it first. You've got to be quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. You know where this is going. Adam Murray's assistants.
Jamie Maguire.
I've not got it written down.
He's
so
a
I'm not gonna
first team
allow it.
coach. He was a first team coach. You know he was a first team coach. That's
I know.
bullshit.
I know. I'm tempted to give him half a point.
Half? You know it's the correct answer, you cheat.
All right, I'll give you the point.
Thank you. I can't believe you didn't write Jamie Maguire down.
I know. Sorry. Steve Evans.
Paul Rayner.
Yes, Cam, well done. Nailing it. David Flitcroft.
Ben Futcher.
Yes, Cam, nailing it. John Dempster.
Lee Glover.
Yes, Cam. And finally, Graham Coughlin.
Lee Glover.
No.
No,
Frozen
did he
out.
stick around? I thought
Frozen out. Frozen out. Craig or Clive, have a stab at it.
I've lost.
I've got no chance.
Richard
No
Cooper?
chance.
No.
No.
No. The correct answer was Joe Dunn. Clive.
Oh my goodness.
I know. It's frustrating. You know, when you know the answer, it's so easy, isn't it? In the comments, the gate says, I love how Clive's soul leaves his body every time the weekly game comes on. And that is exactly why we do the game. It's as simple as that. There you go. Right, let's finally finish this off then. Obviously, December coming up, Craig. You were looking at the fixtures earlier on. Can Mansfield turn it around? Can we find our groove again?
Yeah, I think we can, Craig. I think it'll start with Saturday. We'll see some positivity. And that will take us into the next 3 games, and I think we'll come away with a number of points. And I think we'll be certainly in the top half come January.
Let's certainly hope so. Cam, can we find our goal scoring boots at last? Is the answer waiting in the wings with Mr. Oates? Maybe.
I don't think it is. I think he definitely can contribute. He's never afraid to have a pop in front of goal. I think we are just maybe a little bit too timid in front of goal. Have a dig. Saturday was like pulling teeth at times. Just have a dig. Just shoot. Have a dig. Stop trying to play this ticky-tacky nice football and walking it in. When you're in a bad rut like this and you're low on confidence, the last thing you need to be doing is making it more difficult for yourself. So, yeah, just have a dig. Just have a shot. Anything can happen.
Cam's answer was yes.
Yeah.
I agree, Clive. I think it was.
Oh, I'm getting annoyed again.
and Clive, where does the answer lie? Does it have to be a winnable game on Saturday? Have we got to come away with victory? Will it derail our season if we don't?
I'll answer.
And that's what we do to people who don't like our quizzes.
It's nice to be on the other side of that for once.
Only joking, Clive. Go on, carry on.
To answer the last part of your question, I don't think it matters too much about the result on Saturday. What matters is performance. I think it's going to be a double beller. We're going to have a galvanised team
Ding ding.
and a solidified performance,
Ding, ding,
resulting
ding.
in a success.
I don't think we need a bell for success, but we will have one all the same. It's been a great night as always. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, Craig, really appreciate your time. Clive, I know you hate the quizzes, but you're part of the team now. And if you think
Can I set the next quiz?
If the randomizer falls your way, then yes,
See, I
you
like
can.
you, Craig. I like your passion for quizzes. What I don't like is the result of your passion for quizzes. And
Is that
your propensity for long, convoluted answers.
What's the scoreboard for the
quizzes
yeah.
at the moment?
It's who fucking cares to who fucking cares.
You're on. Clive's on 2 points. Alan's on 3 points. Jim's on 1 point. You're now on 3 points. Nick leads the way on 4 points. Lots of points to be won at the Christmas party one. Cam, as always, I'm going to give you the final word. What do you want to say to round off this week's Mansfield Matters podcast?
I know what's coming.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Always coming. That's the way that we have to end the Mansfield Matters podcast when Cam is on it. Thanks as ever for taking part. Really appreciate your time. Thanks as always for you guys at home for watching and for listening as well. For now, though, that is all we've got time for. So I need to do this. Like it or not, 3 successive defeats, 3 games without scoring a goal. That is a sequence in itself. Let's see if we can break that on Saturday in what I'm calling a must-win game. Let's have an argument about it on social media if you want. You can always do it. More than happy for you to come and have a chat. We are at MTFC Matters on all things social media. A reminder, no podcast predictions for the FA Cup. We're back with the Bolton game on Tuesday night. You must submit your guess no later than 1 hour and 1 minute before kickoff. And we'll review it all on next week's podcast on the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because win, lose or draw, Mansfield and quizzes always matter. Good night.